Good morning.
Yes, good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome to episode number 4. We are catching the armored bitch, kicking down the walls with kindness. Ooh, even saying that word, doesn't that just feels weird, kind of? I don't know, Lily.
Well,
What do you think?
well, I kind of feel like now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of things, right? And this is exciting. Like it's not a superficial conversation. We're getting into the dirt here,
Yeah,
not a mud. Yeah.
yeah. All right, well, let's back up just a tad, reintroduce ourselves. I'm Sarah Zagilla, and I'm here with Lillian DeVries, my Boone coach, my coach for the last 2.5 years. We've been doing this now wonderful series, and today I'm really excited to talk about the armored bitch because I think this is a place that we both come from. Would you agree?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Should we get right into it? Should we talk about,
Let's do it. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
So first of all, please jump in. Let us know where you're joining us from. Probably many of you are still in bed because you're recovering from July 4th weekend.
All right.
Here in Canada, we had our Canada Day on Monday, so we had a little bit more time to recuperate than you guys. So,
Yeah.
in all fairness, but
Fireworks were crazy last night. Fireworks were crazy. It almost sounded like a war zone, but yeah, it was a lovely 4th of July here in the States.
so happy 4th of July to all the Americans, and happy late Canada Day for the Canadians.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, let's get into this. So what brought this up is really, we're talking about societal norms, about how we as women sometimes show up, and it can be very intimidating to others,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden we step into our power. And it's funny because the word power, when I use power as a values word with my clients, some people don't like the word power because they think it's negative.
Yeah.
They think power represents, overpowering,
Yeah.
whereas really power is just stepping into the force that we have. And we need to tame that in a way that's kind, right? Not to show up in a mean way. However, the base of all this conversation is that we are all victims of our circumstances. We were victims of COVID. We were, people who went through the war, victims of the war, like victims of, I look at nurses that I work with a lot, they're victims of the circumstances in healthcare. We are victims in that sense,
Yeah.
meaning victims can be looked at, again, like the word power, it can be looked at as it's a bad thing, or that it is circumstantial. It is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, um, that place of being a victim, which is one of our saboteurs, is, do I want to be a victim? How do I hold being a victim of these circumstances? And sometimes it's so overbearing. And I can remember my days back when, before I took my 6 month sabbatical that I've shared with you guys before, I felt like I was a victim of overwhelmed, all the roles that I had to play, and I was exhausted, and I just didn't know how to handle being this victim.
Yeah.
And so I played the victim.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the piece that we go into, is how do we play the victim? Let's just talk about maybe how we play the victim in life. You go there, and then we'll come back to the whole model.
Yeah. I mean, I think I've played the victim in the sense that I feared vulnerability, where I was fearful of being exposed and judged. I feel that I've held on to a lot of internal pain and internalized a lot of nasty negative feelings, not only about myself, but also sometimes the world at large, where it would cloud my judgment and allow me to not be open minded or see things from multiple perspectives because I was too laser focused on the negative. And reacting to the things that upset me in a very big way. Like it was a very, things that would happen to me where it was like the end of the world, deep, dark tunnel of sadness and shame and doubt and all of those emotions. And you can't really get out of that very easily. It's not an easy thing. And it's hard to even recognize that you're in it when you are. Would you
Oh,
agree?
right. And it's so much your story that you create and that you feed into, right? Because you just add into it. And we all know that when we see something, we can find all the points that prove that we are this, right?
Yeah.
So we find everything. And then what happens is we take it out on everybody else. We take it out on our colleagues. We take it out on, the teller at the bank. We take it out on, the guy who's trying to cross the street and maybe didn't, cross at the crosswalk, or, like, and especially our family.
Oh, that, I mean, it's me and my wife, so it's just the two of us, right? And so unfortunately, when things get rough for me, she's just my person, right? So she's the
Yeah.
kind of, she can be that stand-in whipping post at times, which is not fair to her. And I knew that that was unfair, and vice
Yeah.
versa. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah.
Althea's joining in today. Hi, Althea. Great to see you here. Yeah.
Oh,
Althea says, played the victim by needing, wanting others to rescue me instead of going within and rescuing myself. Oh, God, that is such profound words there. Yeah. And it takes courage to go and rescue yourself, right? It takes a lot of inner work. It takes time. It takes reflection. It takes admitting to yourself where you hold, what responsibilities you have in your life. But
yeah,
it's so much easier to just go and blame and dump it all on everybody else.
yeah,
Because then what happens is when we feel pain here, we want to deflect it and put it on somebody else so that we can feel so much, because it's exhausting.
yeah,
24/7, this place of, you know, yeah, I'm a victim. I'm life is, it's me. Everybody's against me. The world's against me.
yeah, yeah.
You take a simple thing right now. The price of vegetables and fruit right now, like the price of groceries. I mean, okay, we're talking very basic stuff in life, right?
Yeah,
But what do we do about it? We start blaming people. We start, like I hear people, blaming the grocers, or the gas prices or whatever to get our groceries to the store. It's like there's constantly this place of, instead of what do we do about this,
yeah,
which is the phase I'm in with my family, saying, do we buy a property where we all live on it and have a solarium and start growing our own vegetables? And, so it's funny how we can look at things differently just based on the pain that we're experiencing,
absolutely. Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So let me go to this place of, I want to share with you a model that I put together, and I can tell you the only way one can create a model is to have lived this model very, very deeply.
well, and then when you shared the model with me, I was like, that person looks familiar.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
yeah, and Althea's just sharing as I'm pulling this screen up. Yes, I'm getting upset with those that are close to me because they didn't rescue me, which is so unfair to them. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But they shouldn't they, Althea? They should be saving us, shouldn't they? Everybody else should be saving us. Oh my word.
Well,
How's that?
yeah, while you're pulling that up, Lillian, I just wanted to, speak onto the work that it takes to move from kind of that victim to a more, thriving individual. And I
Yeah.
just kind of forewarn people that if you're really ready to make that move, it is not easy, and
Mm,
it's heavy, and it can be painful, and it's a lot
yeah.
of self-reflection, as you mentioned. But I promise you that if
Oh,
you stick with yourself and
yeah.
you stick with wanting more for you, it will shake out in the end in a very beautiful way. And you will learn and grow very, very much. Would you
Yeah.
agree? Yeah.
Oh, 100%. I mean, that's where my 6 months sabbatical came in. I had to do the work on this, and it was really from this place of the victim model. So let's kind of look up at this thing here.
Yeah.
So if you take a look at, uh, being a victim, and this is a strong word. Some people don't like to use that word. I'm not a victim, and actually, that's very interesting because the armored bitch tends to say that I'm not a victim of anything. I can protect myself. I'm a smart woman. I'm a strong woman, and I don't need anybody else to save me. And whoa, the truth is that you're feeling the pain there. So,
Yeah. And I think
well,
it's more of a mindset, really. You know what I
it
mean?
is.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
So when we're surviving, and many of us out here are surviving,
Yeah.
we're keeping our head above the water. We're managing our responsibilities, just barely. We're making it so nobody sees that we've missed something.
Yeah.
We may feel overwhelmed and exhausted, for sure. And we may carry the pain silently with a false smile. Boy, do I ever know that, Um, you're and I think about you. I've never known you really to be the armored bitch the years that we've known each other, Sarah. But I mean, we've told our stories that have come across that way. But you are a person, like, when I think of you, I think of smiles. Like, you're always smiling, right? And I think of the role that you play in HR, always smiling. And how did you move that smile from a fake smile to a real smile?
Mm.
Oh, that's a big question.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think the shift for me was I'm always really good at giving myself to others. Okay.
mm,
So I'm just going to say that. I've always been really good at being a positive light for others or being a positive influence in HR. In fact, it's part of our mission and our vision to
yeah.
be a positive influence in the space of HR. Um, but where I struggled was being a positive influence to myself. So I was so good at giving it
Mm,
to others. It was easy for me to put on that mask. But when I had to look at the mask of who I was at home by myself in my own
yeah.
space and world, that's where it wasn't as smiley. If I just will be honest with you, you see
Right.
me as a smiley person, but there are some parts of my life that aren't smiley, or that have
Yeah.
not been smiley. And so
Yeah.
I was more of a victim internally instead of outward
Mm,
to the world.
yeah.
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 Yeah. I love that. Yeah. And I get that when we're not smiling, when we are those people who are smiling often and we're not smiling, and somebody comes up and says, "What's wrong?" It's like,
Wrong with you. Yeah.
I'm allowed to have a bad moment. Am I not? Like, why do I always have to smile? Why do I have to always turn it on for you?
Yeah.
And that's the angry response, right? That's the place of "Ugh, leave me alone. Like, it's not all rosy. You think I'm always happy, and it's. And by the way, it's all your fault.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So let's continue into the victim model. So in this place of survival, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get to the thriving place where we're speaking from our sage heart, our best self. It's that gentle self that would speak to our puppies. It's that place that comes from a place of love and not the harsh words. Um, we use emotional intelligence, positive intelligence. It's that positivity in us. It's the sensing other people's feelings and our own. Um, and Althea relates a lot because she smiles a lot too, and it's true. Althea does smile a lot.
Smiler like me, probably.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're so good at that, aren't we?
Yeah.
Um, in the thriving, we also avoid toxic behaviors. And toxic behaviors, if any of you have ever read John Gottman's book on the 7 principles of making a marriage work. I use this in teams. I don't necessarily use it just for couples and marriage, but he talks about the 4 horsemen, where we're, either blaming or defending or in contempt, which is the worst of all because we just think, oh, and that's probably from the Armored bitch place, by the way.
Yeah.
Everybody else is stupid, and I'm the only one who knows what's going on, right?
Oof.
Or there's that stonewalling where we don't know how to handle things, so we walk away, right? We don't deal with the conflicts, we step away.
Yeah.
Managers get asked for support, for a question. People come to you, and instead of saying, you know what, I don't know the answer to that, I'll get back to you, it's that overwhelm that they're in, and they just say, um, I'm busy right now, I'll get back to you later, and they never do.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the place of the toxic behaviors. But
Yeah.
so in Thriver, we don't use those toxic behaviors. Um, the Thriver knows who she is. She's really strong. She knows, yeah, I can't smile 24/7. She knows she's got feelings as well, and she's vulnerable.
Yeah.
Um, we also, in this place of Thriver, we use our voice in service of self and others, not just others, in service of self. Like, it's not okay to talk to me like that,
Yeah.
right? Um, we practice daily rituals and self-care. That's huge. I mean, that's always the thing that we put on the back burner, right? Well, we make it a priority in our life and thriving.
Yeah.
Uh,
If I could just interject, I
yeah,
feel like that to me has been the biggest change agent in my whole entire life. It's just creating that non-negotiable for
yes,
myself that I will stay committed and I will honor myself with this one thing, this certain time of day,
Yeah.
X amount of times per week because that's what fulfills my soul. That's what brings me passion. And damn it, I deserve it. Right.
Yes.
And then
Yes.
saying that to me has been the changer, the game changer in my world, that I deserve it. Damn it. I deserve that hour of Zumba, or
Yeah.
I deserve that morning walk in the morning for myself. I deserve whatever it is. So
And the people who've been used to having you there for them all the time, Sarah,
yeah.
might turn around, walk away, and go, "Oh, what a bitch!"
Oh,
Right?
I think it was a big change for others when I was, staying committed to certain things. And, it meant changing a schedule. It meant staying home, keeping an eye on the dog while I was going out. It meant, just not answering emails for work or whatever the case
Yeah,
may be. So it did affect the people around me, but it was a
absolutely.
short lived, ouchy thing. And, people have to respect your boundaries. And if they don't, then they can move along also.
Well, then it's their problem.
Yeah.
Well, and what I like about that too, Sarah, the way I handled it as well was preempt people who've been used to seeing you a certain way. I remember coming back to my family and saying things are going to change. You might notice me doing this or this, or not wanting to do this, or saying no more often.
Yeah.
And it might be difficult because you've known me for so many years, and I need to step in and look after myself now. So it's okay to pre-explain something before it happens because it's a shocker for others.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolute shocker. Yeah. Um, in this Thriver place, you're making conscious choices. You're consciously choosing, this is what I want, this is what I need, and this is what I'm going to ask for. Like, you're making those choices very, very clearly.
Yeah.
And you're aware of your intentions and impact. So again, it goes, my intention is to look after myself, but the impact might be hard on other people. So I need to, again, explain myself, right?
Yeah.
And it's not because you need to explain yourself. It just makes it easier for others and you have less to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why you're doing it. It's not that, other people you shouldn't have to explain to other people why you're doing things. Well, I laugh when, I'm working with women who are married and they say, well, my spouse should know that. And I go, well, yeah, how's that working for you? It's not. So forget the shoulds
Yeah.
and explain it. Like, take a moment. It's okay. It's
Context
okay.
is key. It really, really is. And maybe just taking that opportunity to explain yourself is the wrong, but just provide the why behind anything. Because
Yes.
when you really want to make positive change, if you can explain the why behind
Yes.
it, I think that is most impactful, and that
Yes.
would make the most impact. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
So maybe
yeah.
maybe we
He's
need to change the verbiage around explain ourselves, because maybe that's a societal norm where we're expected
right.
to just kind
Yeah.
of share what we're doing so that everybody's on the same page. Maybe it's more of, this is the why. You can get behind my why and
Yeah.
understand, believe in the passion, or you can't.
Yeah.
That's to you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how again, we've just pulled out numerous times today and it's just in this one, few minutes, whatever, how we use a word or how we use an expression, how it's interpreted.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And then
Yeah.
as women, we're nervous about how those words are interpreted, and then how it somehow reflects, what we're talking about. And is it going to
Yeah.
make, and we just go into this like thing of questioning all the time instead of
True.
just being, more assertive, because we don't want to seem assertive, because then we're the bitch, right?
Yes. Yes. I mean,
So
it
you're,
well,
if you
I
do,
guess,
damned if you don't sometimes.
yeah. And I think that that's part of the thing that we can either choose to accept or not accept is that it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
It's simple, but it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
Talking about words, my husband is sometimes it just drives me crazy and I have to take a deep breath, but it's that place where when I say something, he says, well, that's not what you said, or that's not what you meant, say what you mean or whatever. And I'm just like, do you get the gist of it? Like, but well, I don't have to live with him. But I'm choosing to live with him and I need to make those things easier for myself.
Yeah.
So I sometimes pause to use my words properly or apologize and twist it around so that he gets it the way he wants to hear it. But it's so funny. It's just, we get caught up in these words. But anyway, and that's what can take me to the armored bitch. Let me go visit the armored bitch here because
Yes.
yeah, let's go see her. So again, she uses those toxic behaviors, right? To blame, defensiveness, contempt, stonewalling. She's just like, yeah, everything is everybody else's fault. It's not hers.
Mhm.
And it's usually triggered, and I put in here reacts to triggers big time. When we're feeling hurt, some things are hurting us. When somebody says or does something, we react in a certain way. So here's an example, a big example I've experienced with many, many of my women clients. They get to this place where they've had such bad relationships that they will turn around and say to me, I don't need a man in my life. I don't, and really they're wanting that, but they're expressing it in a way that they just can't cope with it. They just can't deal with it. So they become angry and they put this armor on that
Mm.
just protects them from getting hurt because they've been hurt by many, and I'm using men as an example. It could be women if you're in a gay relationship, or other men if you're
Yeah.
male. But it's the partners, other partners have hurt them, and so they're so afraid to be hurt again that they put on this armor and say, I don't need anybody in my life. I don't need um, somebody to tell me what to do. I'm quite capable and I'm well at managing. And or they've been hurt in workplaces
Oh,
where
yeah,
they become that bitchy manager, right?
oh my God.
And
I see it all the time. And
yeah,
especially in HR, I see it all the time. Yeah.
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 And where's that coming from, do you think, from the people that do that?
I think it's just hurt people, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way I break it down is hurt people hurt people. So if
Yeah.
I've been treated poorly in the workplace, but I'm rising and I'm climbing the ranks and I have to now defend what I've earned and owned. So then I'm going
Yes.
to do that in a way that is aggressive,
Yes.
non-collaborative, kind of mean, and that you don't have that open door policy. And especially if you're a leader, oof, I caution you
Yeah.
to really take a look at maybe some of your workplace behaviors and how they might
Yeah.
be trickling out into the workplace. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's fear to be caught, you know, as not being perfect, because remember we talked about that perfection, right? We
Yeah.
talked about that last week.
Yeah.
That whole thing about the imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Well, geez, you get to that place and the fear about showing vulnerability is in this armored bitch, right? So you
Yeah.
put this armor on to protect yourself, to make yourself look like, well, you're actually playing the role of the imposter. Like you're really stepping in and pretending to be somebody you're not,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Um, and these people, these armored bitches, I used to, I'll take the ownership of that,
Me?
attack from a
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah, we attack from a place of bold and false empowerment. We think we're powerful, and we cannot accept the fact that sometimes we're not.
Mhm. Yeah.
And this is exhausting because what happens is under that shell, and all of a sudden I just had this vision of a turtle. I don't know why, but it's that shell that we put on, and it's like, the sad turtle under there is like we're crying. We're just nothing but, raw meat, if you like, underneath.
Yeah.
We don't have that armor, and it's scary.
Yeah.
Um, Here's the big thing. We abuse of our strength and hurt others.
Mhm. Yeah.
So the power we step into is like that strong woman, because we become strong through the pain
Right.
or the roles.
Hyper independent.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
We've got a bulldozer attitude.
Mhm. Yeah.
Oh, wow. The bull in the china shop comes in and just, rawr, 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 just everybody get out of my way, especially when we're under stress. What I noticed a lot with nursing in my nursing years, it's like, as a nurse, you get all of a sudden, we have so many patients to look after, so many responsibilities. And all of a sudden we just go tunnel vision. I've got all of this to do. And if anybody dares step in my way or move my walls,
Yeah.
I just blow up. And
Mhm.
I blow up at the patient. I blow up at my coworkers. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
It is not pretty.
Mhm.
Um, and basically the last statement is we hold on to so much internal pain.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Can I just share?
Yeah.
I remember like the moment that I was like, stuff's got to change, and I was up the night before late, probably participating in too many alcoholic beverages with some friends, right?
Which is how we cope, by the way, sometimes,
We
isn't
cope,
it?
right? And I was sitting on my front porch trying to get myself ready for work the next day. And so I had a little bit of a hangover. I'm sitting there drinking coffee. I'm smoking my horrible menthol cigarette, sitting there in just wallowing in some internal pain, and my body felt like crap and my head felt like crap and I was tired and I was just ugh. And I'm
Yeah.
sitting there feeling so much gross ugh about myself that I finally just something clicked, and it was like something's got to give here. And it
Yeah.
was just shortly after that we went and got acupuncture, which helped us quit smoking. And I'm so proud that that was 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And just slowly but surely, these small positive changes started making me feel better, a little bit more bright, a little bit more lifted, a little bit more positive, a little bit more energized. But I was in a really rough, dark, deep place with myself. And so I've been there, ladies. I get it. I understand. And it's we all sometimes have to go there. I think that place really allows us to either rise above or let that circumstance kind of swallow us whole. And I'm
Yeah.
saying that I'm living proof you can change that. You can make a change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And our relationships suffer from that.
Mm.
When we're in that place, that our relationships suffer. I mean, who wants to live? I mean, I couldn't live with myself.
No.
That's what made me change. I couldn't live with myself. So, you know, how can
Yeah.
anybody else live with me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And yet when we get in that victim place, we have all the valid justifications, of why we're feeling what we're feeling, and to be left alone, and to, you don't understand what I'm going through, you don't know how hard it is to be a, whatever, a mother, a manager, whatever it is that we're doing, all these roles that we play.
Yeah.
And it's like there's we have to pause. And that's what meditation's all about. It's that pause. It's that, and that's what coaching is all about, actually. I say this to my clients often, is like, when we get together, it's a pause and reflection. Okay, what's happening right now? Am I okay? What needs to change? What am I willing to change right now? And hopefully our coach holds us high enough that we don't need to change it all overnight. And it's just catching ourselves on the little things. What would make something better? And if I go back to the thriving, the thriving part of the model, it says, practice daily rituals and self-care. That was my 6 months. When I went into my 6 month sabbatical, I created rituals in the morning. And morning is always setting the pace for the rest of the day.
I
You
agree.
know, it's if I didn't have morning rituals to set me up for the rest of the day, then I would go into that more victim mode and say, well, it's like that eating and all, dieting and all this kind of stuff that we've done so many years. For years, women have done this. If I didn't do well in the morning, then the day's shot.
I'll
The day is all.
start over again tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's BS.
Yeah.
That's, what is it I can do right now? We only have the moment.
Yeah.
That's all we have is the moment.
Yeah.
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 There are a few questions that when I'm working with my clients that I ask here is, what circumstances, and maybe you people out there who are listening, what circumstances are you in where you feel you are without choice? Like we all, there's something that we feel we don't have a choice. I don't have a choice. I hear this sometimes, people who want to leave their relationships. I don't have a choice. I don't have money. I've got the kids. He's got the bank account, living with a narcissist.
Mm.
I've coached many women there, and it's like, okay, well, what do you have a choice of? It may not be that you're going to step out of the house and move into a different house that looks as luxurious and whatever. Your choice is not a pretty choice, but it is a choice.
Yeah.
Right? It's like people I've heard in nursing. When I was doing nursing and I was restaurant business and starting my coaching, and people would say, you're so lucky. All I know is nursing. I don't have a choice. I go, because that's all you see. But you have a lot more choice. You have so much more potential if you would only take the time to start reflecting on who you are, what you're passionate about, what your values are, and start to just have those conversations, be it with a coach or with a friend who really cares.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know, people who love you, who will say, you know, I see this. Like you, it's amazing sometimes where people end up in their professions and in their life that they never even thought of.
Yeah. I know, it's like when there's a will, there is a way. But for some reason, it takes people, it's hard for them to get there, and maybe it
Yeah.
is just finding the coach, or maybe it is finding that friend who can pull
Yeah.
you up and lift you up. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's a hard
Yeah.
place to come from. Yeah.
And why do we think we have to do it alone? That's
Mm,
just, it's crazy that we think that we need to do it alone.
yeah.
I want to go to this place of well behaved women rarely live their best lives. So, where in this model do we think we're well behaved?
Oh, um, well, probably in the armored bitch area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Well, and probably also in the survivor area, right? Because
Yes,
if we think we're managing all the tasks and we're just keeping things afloat,
yes,
so like, I'm kind of underneath the radar. I think that's where it's seen. Yeah.
yeah. Which, takes me to the place because you were absolutely right. When I was in my armored bitch mode, I felt like I was in control.
Yeah.
Don't break me, don't bust my shell here, and don't, try to bring me down my armor or whatever. I've got under control. Everything's under control. Do it this way, do it that way, and get out of my way. And it was like, I'm in control. So therefore I am well behaved.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. That doesn't work. That
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah. It's a hard place to be.
Yeah.
I mean, being vulnerable is hard, but being the armored bitch is even harder because it's all a lie.
And it's so heavy. It's so
It
heavy.
is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is heavy. It
Yeah.
is heavy. Yeah. Um,
Yeah, Brene Brown talks about, like, she just kind of creates that mental picture of, with all the crappy things that can happen to us in our life, we just slowly put on that big old armor and the headgear, and we're walking out into the arena, and it gets hot, it gets sweaty, it gets overwhelming, it gets heavy, and that stuff has to start coming off so that you can really start to thrive in your own life. That
yeah.
means creating your rituals. That means being true to yourself. That means holding on to your non-negotiables. That means building your boundaries to have healthier, steady relationships.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've done it. We're in the process of still doing it, and I'm
Yes.
proud of us.
Of
Um,
course.
and I'm
Every day is a different task.
yeah,
It's a
yeah,
different task, and that's okay. And
yeah,
that's, and I have this thing that I say that, if life doesn't challenge me anymore, it's because I've arrived and it's time for me to go. I'm not ready to go. So challenge me a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. I can take it. I can take it. Um, yeah. So let's talk about the kicking down the walls with kindness,
yeah,
because now that we've caught the armored bitch, and hopefully that many of us can, still, as we talk about this stuff, both Sarah and I, we're in this place of also noticing, where have I been that armored bitch lately, and do I need to catch myself? It's good to keep having these conversations. But so how do we break down or kick down the walls, and what are these walls, and what are we trying to kick, and how do we do it with kindness?
yeah, yeah. So in therapy, I've learned, using I statements help
Yeah.
me quite a bit. So I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I'm feeling this way when this is happening, to really try to communicate the way that I'm feeling in a moment, not projecting that onto somebody else, but taking ownership for the way that I'm feeling in certain situations. I found that to be helpful. What do you do, Lily?
Yeah, and I think that that's, asking for what you need
Yeah,
is part of that. It's when I'm in my I statement, I can say, what I need right now is, I need to, I'm not in a good place, and I need to, and I still use this to this day with my husband. I need my space. I need time. And I'll just say I'm going out for a drive.
yeah,
He doesn't need to know where I'm going, why I'm going, or whatever. And he's so supportive in that way. He's learned, that that's what I need.
yeah,
And I ask for it, and I'm not afraid to ask for it. And sometimes he's in the heat of the moment, and he'll say something, and I'll just say, "You're pushing me right now, and we're just escalating things right now. We both need moment,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to listen to this right now."
Yeah.
So asking I statements and asking for what I need, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
There's also ways of asking for things. It's not only asking for what we need, but there are also ways that make it about us and not about the other person, right? Um, so what I mean by that is, even in managing in my workplace, how I can, as a manager, say, um, I need the time to think about this, right? Or I really want to give you what you need, and I find that challenging. Let me think about this and come back and have a conversation.
Yeah.
It's that's that's one way to communicate what our needs are. But when
Yeah.
we're thinking about kicking down the walls, what are the walls? What are some of the walls that we run into? And maybe, Althea, when you come back on with us, if you're back, what are some of the walls um, that we need to kick down as women in the societal norms?
Yeah, I mean, I think vulnerability is a really big giant wall because we're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of comparison. We're afraid of being kind of naked, vulnerable, and exposed and what that might mean. But I
Mm,
think it's more of understanding like that's where beauty happens and
mm, I
giving
love it.
yourself grace and compassion, and knowing that you're not going to get it perfect because there's no such thing as
Yeah,
perfection. It's about the progress you're making. It's about the growth. And so if you can take all of that fearful language that you're telling yourself about the walls of vulnerability and shift your mindset into thinking, this is where I'm going to learn a lot about myself. This is where I'm going to learn a lot about other people. This is where I'm really going to grow. This is where I'm really going to thrive. And so if you shift that language and that mindset, I think that could be really helpful because vulnerability is definitely a wall for myself
yeah.
included. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
ask yourself, what's the gift and opportunity right now that
Yeah.
if I just allow the vulnerability to show up, how will I win? What's the gift in this?
Yeah.
Um, I also think that preempting, I'm a big person around preempting, right? Um, is also saying, I'm going to share this, but I don't need you to fix me.
Mhm.
Okay. I
Yeah.
just want to share, and I'm just processing out loud. I was with a group of coaches not too long ago, maybe a couple of months ago, and I was sharing, I was being vulnerable, and I was going into this place and saying what I was doing about it, how I was doing things. And all of a sudden I got bombarded with people trying to fix me. And I had to kick down that wall, without being that, the bitch, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I had to kick down the wall of saying, um, this is not what I'm looking for right now. I'm appreciating the space for me to share,
Yeah.
and I don't need anybody to pity me or feel like they need to fix me. I'm just This is just what I need right now. So
Yeah.
being very clear on what you need.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got a comment here about breaking down the emotional walls, right?
Mm,
So
yeah.
women were often told we're too emotional. I mean, I hear it all. Oh, Sarah, you're so passionate and you're so excited about this. Calm it down and dim it down a bit. No,
No.
that's me. This is who I am. This is how I'm showing up. I'm emotional. I'm a passionate
Yeah.
human being. And by you asking me to tame that down or calm that down is making me feel inadequate. And then that just
Yes.
keeps going
Yeah.
down and down and down. And then I'm armored up
Yeah.
and I'm right back in the cycle again
Yeah.
of being an
Oh,
armored bitch. Yeah.
and we do it to ourselves, because
Yeah.
how many women, I'm going to say men too, but I'm going to think women mostly in this case here. How many women start getting emotional and they say, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to, I don't mean to get so emotional." It's like, why are you sorry?
Yeah.
Something just happened internally. Embrace that,
Yeah.
you know? And I actually, I had a coach years back that got fired, uh, that said to me, I was in a good place, and he said to me, "Yeah, but you still cry at moments, and still," and I'm like, "And what's your point?
Yeah.
that will never stop, and I never wanted to stop.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, such a, and of course it was a man, but he was judging me for crying, that it was wrong to show my emotions.
Mm. Yeah.
And I still had issues if I was showing my emotions.
Yeah.
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 Intha says we're built on emotions, therefore we should embrace them.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if we did embrace them? What would that look like?
Mm.
How would there's kicking down the walls with kindness. If somebody else is being emotional and they're apologizing for it, first of all, I love somebody else I know who coaches, and she says her tagline is unapologetically me.
Mm.
Right? I don't need to apologize for who I am.
Yeah.
And what's the place? How can we support people with kindness? One of the things in the coaching training we had, when somebody got emotional and started crying, you'd have all these caretakers in the group that would go out and get the Kleenex and give them the Kleenex and all that. And I remember the coach leaders saying, we need to empower people to ask for what they need. Don't give them Kleenex unless they ask for it. If teach them that if they want something, they will ask for it. They don't need you to take care of them.
Yeah.
Because it minimizes us.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm one of those people who is like, here's the Kleenex, here's the warm hug, because I want to like save and protect people. But I mean, that's a really great way to look at it.
Well, actually, when we do that, if you take a look at the psychology behind it, it's because we are uncomfortable with it.
Mm.
We are uncomfortable with you crying. We are uncomfortable with you feeling an emotion. So we want to calm that emotion down so that we could feel better. It's very subconscious. It's unconscious, really.
Yeah.
We don't know that we're doing that for ourselves, but we think it's caretaking when it's really caretaking for us.
Ah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
Just a different angle to look at it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what about kicking down the walls of societal norms? Like when you think back at our very first episode, women, when you think back at women who couldn't vote, right?
Mm.
And women who couldn't speak up and use their voice, they're or are cut off in meetings. There's a perfect example. We share what we think is going to help the organization, and we get a group of men in there that just shut us down, and it's not important. We're not important. Our statement's not important. Well, how do we handle that with kindness?
Mm-hmm. Well, you got to be really careful and a little bit choosy about, the words, because you want to speak in a way, as RBG would say, that influences and empowers others to listen, right? So you don't have to use language that's abrasive and aggressive, right? You can say, I hear you and I appreciate what you're trying to say here, but my opinion matters, and I would like you to just kindly see a different perspective. Let's talk it through, as I've just listened to you speak before. So, I mean, I've had to interject myself in a lot of professional settings and meetings because it's predominantly men.
Yeah.
I've been the only woman in many different networking settings or professional groups or things like that. And they tend to overpower and overbear in certain situations. And so I've gotten pretty good at interjecting myself in a way that's kind, but also assertive. Yeah.
Yeah. And notice that when they start to feel uncomfortable because of you're standing up for yourself and you're voicing what's important and standing up for who you are, then, you're not the unarmored bitch at this point. You're just the bitch. Right. Mm-hmm. But we kind of put together a little acronym for bitch, and we thought this would be fun.
Yeah.
And really it's B is for bold. So we're bold, right? I is for intelligent. That's believing that what we have to say is worth saying, right? That's intelligence to me.
Yeah.
T, love this one, tenacious.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to get away with cutting me off. What I said was important. That the comeback I'll have in a group is say, I just made a comment about this. What did you hear me say?
That's good.
And then I go, test you. Now you're going to really listen, because if I ask you again, you're going to want to.
Absolutely. I like that. I'm going to use that one, Lillian.
Yeah. So tenacious. We're tenacious. We're tenacious. Yeah. C for courageous. Yeah. It takes courage, and if you're not familiar with Brene Brown, start reading some of her work, because she talks about the courage and
courage and comfort, together. You have to be able to get
for
through
sure.
that. Yeah.
And the H is heroic. where are we the heroes is to step into fully who we are and what we're meant to be doing in this world.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, bold, intelligent, tenacious, courageous, and heroic.
Love
Yeah,
it.
absolutely. Yeah, I think it's so important. That's a great way to bring a wrap up to our call, Sarah. I'll let you do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, especially after a holiday. We appreciate it. We hope you've received some really great value out of this. As a reminder, please tell your friends, your family, your sisters, your cousins, whomever in your life. We've got 2 additional sessions coming down the road. So please register, get involved, and that way you can actually get any of our previous recordings and get some really great, valuable, free information. Also wanted to let you know that you still have the opportunity that if you would like for either Lillian or I to come do a professional talk at a value of $5,000 each, that is free, but you just have to register and sign up so that we can do that drawing.
Yeah.
Am I missing anything, Lillian, or is that it?
No, I think the big piece in registering for that talk is, be bold, be tenacious rather, courageous, and ask for, an organization that could really use some of this information. And if it's not the stuff we're talking about here, there are so many things to talk about, because I think that we are those bold, intelligent, tenacious, courageous, and heroic women, the 2 of us here, and we've got so much to offer for you guys. So the survey monkey.com link has been put up. Thanks, Hake, for doing that for us. And please, please, please take a moment to just click on that register or gift it to somebody. Gift it. Let's be the women that are helping other women out there. Okay. There's a QR code right now. Grab that. You've got our emails if you want to ask us any questions. Sorry, that email's not right. That alive with Lillian at Gmail. I'll have to change that. Hang on a second. That's not my email.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
no, it's
say it
yeah.
out
Well,
loud.
yeah. Well, yeah. Let me just put it. It's Lillian. I'll put it in here while we're wrapping up here.
Yep.
Hang on a second here. I don't know how we got that wrong. I'll just put in my newer one. It's Lillian at lilliandefries.com. You can grab that one. Okay, sorry, we'll get that changed. Hake, I don't know how we got that mistake up there, but anyway, we've got Sarah's on there and you got the QR code. So reach out to us. We've got 2 more weeks. Don't forget, and come join us. We're looking forward to it.
Yes, thank you so much. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, everybody.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.